Commander Kyung-min stood at the tall windows of the military station, watching the stars beyond. His blue skin showed the scars of 15 years of fighting. The war against the hegemony empire had been going badly for 3 years now. Every month, they lost more worlds. Every week, more soldiers died. "Commander," called Captain Hae-won from behind him. "The new allies have arrived." Kyung-min turned around. His second-in-command looked tired. They all did these days. "The humans?" "Yes, sir. Their ships just came out of jump space. Colonel Jin-woo wants to meet with you." Kyung-min had heard about these humans. They were new to space travel. Just got their first faster-than-light ships working a few months ago. The coalition needed every ship they could get, but Kyung-min had his doubts. How could a species that just learned to travel between stars help them win this war? "Send him in," Kyung-min said. The doors opened, and a human walked in. He was shorter than Kyung-min, with dark skin and black hair. He wore a green uniform that looked strange compared to the formal blue robes of the Valorian military. "Colonel Jin-woo," the human said, holding out his hand. "Thank you for agreeing to work with us." Kyung-min looked at the extended hand. Was this some kind of greeting? He touched it briefly with his own hand. The human squeezed his fingers, which felt odd. "I am Commander Kyung-min. Please sit." Jin-woo sat down in the chair across from Kyung-min's desk. "I've read your military record. Very impressive. 15 years of service, 12 major victories. And 3 years of losing," Kyung-min said. "The hegemony has better weapons, more ships. We fight with honor, but honor does not stop laser cannons." "Maybe we can help with that," Jin-woo said. "My people have some experience with fighting stronger enemies." Kyung-min studied the human's face. "Your people have been in space for less than a year. What experience could you have?" "We've been fighting each other for thousands of years," Jin-woo said simply. "We've learned a few things about war." The next day, Kyung-min watched the human soldiers train. They moved wrong. Where Valorian warriors stood in perfect lines, the humans scattered everywhere. Where his people practiced formal combat moves, the humans rolled around in the dirt. They hid behind walls and jumped out at each other. "This is not proper military training," said Lieutenant Tae-sung, a young officer standing next to Kyung-min. "Where is their discipline?" "I don't know," Kyung-min replied. "Colonel Jin-woo, what are your soldiers doing?" Jin-woo walked over. "Training for real combat. In a real fight, there are no rules. The enemy won't wait for you to get into perfect formation." "But how can you coordinate attacks without proper formations?" Hae-won asked. A human soldier nearby laughed. "We coordinate just fine. Watch this." She made a quick hand gesture. Immediately, 5 other humans dropped to the ground and pointed their weapons in different directions. Another gesture, and they all moved to new positions using boxes and walls for cover. "No radio communications," Jin-woo explained. "No shouted orders. Silent coordination. Much harder for enemies to track or jam." Kyung-min frowned. "But where is the honor in hiding? A true warrior faces his enemy directly." "A dead warrior can't protect anyone," said a female voice behind him. He turned to see a human woman with short black hair. She wore the same green uniform as the others. "This is Staff Sergeant So Young," Jin-woo said. "Our best combat engineer." "Engineers are not warriors," Tae-sung said. So Young smiled. "I've killed more enemies than most of your warriors, but I use explosives and traps instead of swords." Kyung-min felt confused and a little insulted. These humans seemed to think that sneaking and hiding were as good as brave fighting. How could the coalition expect to win with allies like this? The next week, they ran a joint training exercise. The goal was simple: capture a mock enemy base. Kyungmin's Valorian forces would attack from the front while the humans provided support. Kyungmin lined up his warriors in perfect formation. They marched toward the training base with flags flying and weapons ready. It was a beautiful sight. Hundreds of blue-skinned warriors moving as one. The enemy defenders, played by other coalition soldiers, fired stun weapons at them. Many Valorians fell, but the rest kept marching forward. This was how proper warfare worked. Brave soldiers facing the enemy with courage. But where were the humans? Kyungmin looked around and saw none of them. Had they run away already? Suddenly, explosions started going off behind the enemy base. The defenders turned around in confusion. Then human soldiers appeared from holes in the ground, from behind rocks, from inside the base itself. How had they gotten there? The mock battle ended. In 5 minutes, the human attack from behind had completely surprised the defenders. "How did you do that?" Kyungmin asked Jinwoo afterward. "While you were marching up front, we were digging tunnels and climbing walls," Jinwoo replied. "The enemy was watching your formation, so they didn't notice us sneaking around." "But that's cheating," Tae-sung said. "No," So-young said, cleaning dirt from her uniform. "That's winning. The enemy doesn't care about your rules. They just want to kill you. Our job is to kill them first." Kyungmin walked back to his quarters, feeling troubled. Everything he had learned about warfare said that honor mattered. A warrior should face his enemies bravely. But the humans had won the exercise easily by breaking all those rules. That night, Haewon came to see him. "Sir, what do you think about these humans?" Kyungmin stared out the window again. "I think they fight like animals. No honor, no courage, just sneaking and tricks. But they won the exercise," Haewon pointed out. "Yes," Kyungmin said quietly. "They won." The next morning, new orders arrived. The 47th Strike Force, including their new human allies, was being sent to retake the mining station on Kepler 442b. The hegemony had held it for 6 months. 3 previous attacks had failed. Kyungmin read the orders to his assembled officers. "We attack in 1 week. This will be our first real battle with human forces." "Do you think we can trust them?" asked Tae-sung. Kyungmin looked at the young officer. After 15 years of losing battles the honorable way, maybe it was time to try something different, even if it meant working with soldiers who fought like shadows instead of warriors. "We'll find out," he said. The desert planet Kepler 442b was not a friendly place. The mining station sat in the middle of red sand dunes that stretched to the horizon. Underground tunnels connected the mining equipment to the main facility. The hegemony had turned it into a fortress. Kyungmin stood with his officers looking at maps of the station. The plan was simple, like all good Valorian military plans. They would march straight at the main entrance. The enemy would come out to fight them in honorable combat. The strongest would win. "The human forces will support our attack," he told his warriors. "Stay in formation. Follow the battle plan. Victory through courage and honor." His soldiers cheered. They were good fighters, brave and loyal. Kyungmin felt proud watching them. "Prepare their weapons and armor." Colonel Jinwoo approached with several human soldiers. "Commander, we need to talk about the attack plan." "The plan is clear," Kyungmin replied. "We attack the front entrance at dawn. Your soldiers will provide covering fire." "That's not going to work," said a new human voice. Kyung-min turned to see a thin man with a long rifle. "I'm Sergeant Dong-hyun. I've been watching the station for 2 days. They have heavy weapons pointed at the main approach. You'll lose half your men before you get close. Then we will honor their sacrifice," Kyung-min said. "A warrior's death in battle is glorious." The humans looked at each other strangely. "Commander," Jinwoo said carefully, "our job is to win, not to die gloriously. Dead soldiers can't complete the mission." "What do you suggest?" Haewon asked. A young human woman stepped forward. "I'm Corporal Ma Young, combat medic. We think there's a better way. The mining tunnels connect to the station's lower levels. If some of us go through those tunnels while others attack the front, we can hit them from both sides." "That would mean splitting our forces," Tae-sung said. "Military doctrine says to keep forces together." "Military doctrine gets people killed," said another human. This one was very young, maybe 19 years old. "Private Woo Jin," he introduced himself. "I used to work in mines back on Earth. These tunnel systems are like a maze, perfect for sneaking around." Kyung-min felt his anger rising. "We are not sneaks. We are warriors. We fight with honor, face to face with our enemies. And how many warriors have you lost fighting with honor?" Dong-hyun asked quietly. The question hit Kyung-min like a punch. Too many. Far too many good soldiers had died in honorable frontal attacks. But what choice did they have? Warriors fought. With courage, not with tricks. "We follow the plan," he said firmly. "Dawn attack, front entrance." At dawn, the Valorian forces marched across the desert toward the mining station. 300 warriors in perfect formation, their blue armor shining in the morning sun. Their war songs echoed across the sand dunes. The hegemony defenders opened fire when they got close. Heavy laser cannons and plasma rifles lit up the desert. Valorian warriors fell, but the rest kept marching forward. This was how it should be. Brave soldiers facing death with courage. But the enemy fire was too heavy. After 10 minutes, Kyung-min's forces had to take cover behind rocks and sand dunes. They were pinned down, unable to advance or retreat. "Where are the humans?" Haewon asked, crouched behind a boulder. Kyung-min looked around. He couldn't see any human soldiers anywhere. Had they run away when the fighting started? He felt both angry and disappointed, but not surprised. Humans didn't understand honor. Then something strange happened. The enemy fire from the left side of the station suddenly stopped. Then the right side went quiet too. The communications tower exploded in a ball of flame. "What's happening?" Tae-sung called out. Through his binoculars, Kyung-min saw human soldiers appearing inside the station compound. They seemed to be coming out of the ground. How was that possible? His radio crackled with Jin Woo's voice. "Valorian forces advance. Now. We have the back entrance secured." "How did you get inside?" Kyung-min demanded. "Tunnels," came Dong-hyun's voice. "Told you this place was like a maze. We've been crawling through mining shafts for 3 hours. Kyung-min ordered his warriors. Forward. With the enemy distracted by attacks from inside, the Valorian advance met much less resistance. They reached the main entrance to find the doors already open. Inside, the scene was chaos. Human soldiers were everywhere, but Kyung-min could barely see them. They moved from cover to cover, always staying behind walls or equipment. When hegemony soldiers appeared, the humans seemed to vanish, only to reappear somewhere else. "There!" Tae-sung pointed at a group of enemy soldiers. "We can engage them in honorable combat." But before the Valorians could approach, explosions erupted around the enemy position. The hegemony soldiers scattered in panic. Kyung-min saw Woo Jin pop up from behind a mining machine, holding some kind of improvised explosive device. Sorry, the young human called out. Couldn't let you have all the fun. This wasn't combat, as Kyungmin understood it. The humans fought, like ghosts, appearing and disappearing. They used the station's own equipment against the enemy. They turned mining tools into weapons and mining tunnels into secret passages. In one corridor, he found Mi Young treating wounded hegemony soldiers. "What are you doing?" he asked. "Medical care," she replied, bandaging an enemy soldier's leg. "The wounded can't fight anymore, so they're not enemies. They're just hurt people." "But they're our enemies," Kyung-min protested. "Not anymore," Mi Young said. "This one is 17 years old. Same age as my little brother back home. The hegemony." Soldier looked up at Kyung-min with fear in his eyes. He was just a boy, really. Mi Young spoke to him in a gentle voice while she worked on his wounds. "She's treating them better than their own army does," said a voice behind Kyung-min. He turned to see a hegemony officer who had surrendered. "Your human medic has treated 6 of my wounded soldiers. Our officers would have left them to die. The battle was over in 2 hours. The humans had disabled the station's defenses, captured the command center, and secured all the mining equipment. They had done it without a single frontal assault or formal battle." "How?" Kyung-min asked Jin-woo afterward. "How did you do this? So easily?" "We didn't fight their strength," Jin-woo explained. "They expected an attack from the front, so we came from below. They prepared for a formal battle, so we gave them chaos. They thought in terms of military formations, so we fought as individuals." "But where is the honor in this victory?" Hae-won asked. Dong-hyun was cleaning his rifle nearby. "The honor is in completing the mission with minimal casualties. My job isn't to die gloriously. It's to go home to my family after we win this war." 23 Valorian casualties, Mi Young reported. "All minor wounds. I can have them back in action in a few days." "And human casualties?" Kyung-min asked. "None," Jin-woo replied. "We don't fight fair. We fight to win." That night, Kyung-min walked through the captured station. Human and Valorian soldiers were working together to repair the mining equipment. The humans treated their Valorian allies with respect, but they also treated the captured enemies with kindness. He found Woo Jin showing Tae-sung how to make explosive devices from mining supplies. "The key is to use what your enemy gives you," the young human was explaining. "Every tool can be a weapon if you think about it right." "But this seems like cheating," Tae-sung said. "Only if there are rules," Woo Jin replied. "In real combat, the only rule is survival. Everything else is just suggestions." Kyung-min realized something important that night. The humans hadn't won through superior technology or numbers. They had won through thinking differently. Where Valorians saw mining equipment, humans saw weapons. Where Valorians saw tunnels, humans saw secret passages. Where Valorians saw enemies, humans saw wounded people who needed help. Maybe fighting with honor wasn't the only way to fight with righteousness. Maybe there was honor in protecting your soldiers' lives by being smarter than the enemy. Maybe the real victory wasn't in dying gloriously, but in living to protect what mattered. For the first time in 3 years, Kyung-min began to think they might actually win this war. The planet Arcturus Prime was burning. From space, Kyung-min could see the orange glow of fires across 3 continents. The hegemony fleet hung in orbit like hungry metal beasts, their ships larger and more powerful than anything the coalition had. 60 enemy ships, reported Hae-won, studying the sensor readings. We have 22. Odds of victory? asked General Kyung-soo over the communication link. The Supreme Valorian commander was on the flagship, preparing for what he called our glorious final stand. Minimal, Kyung-min replied honestly. But we will fight with honor. Of course we will, the general said. Better to die as warriors than live as cowards. Kyung-min had heard those words many times over the past 3 years. Too many good soldiers had died for honor while the hegemony conquered planet after planet. He looked around the bridge of his ship and saw Colonel Jin-woo working with a group of human officers. What are the humans planning? He asked Hae-won quietly. I don't know, sir. They've been in private meetings all morning. Jin-woo approached them with a serious expression. Commander, we need to talk. The current battle plan won't work. The plan is simple, Kyung-min said. We fight until reinforcements arrive in 30 days. We hold the planet with courage and honor. You can't hold a planet against a fleet that size using traditional tactics, said a new voice. Commander, Yoon Seo was a human naval officer with short gray hair and sharp eyes. They have orbital bombardment capability. They can destroy any fixed position from space. Then what do you suggest? Kyung-min asked. We make the whole planet into a trap, Jin-woo said. Instead of fighting them where they're strong, we fight them where they're weak. Explain. Dr. Jae-min, a Valorian scientist who had been studying human psychology, stepped forward. I have been observing human tactical thinking. They do not fight to hold ground. They fight to control the enemy's actions. Commander Yoon Seo activated a holographic display showing Arcturus Prime. The hegemony expects us to defend the cities and military bases, so we evacuate them. We move all the civilians and most of our forces underground. Abandoning our positions is cowardice, said Tae-sung. No, said Major Hyun-woo, a stocky human with scars on his hands. It's making the enemy waste their ammunition. Let them bomb empty buildings while we prepare surprises. What kind of surprises? Kyung-min asked. Hyun-woo smiled. The kind that turn a planet into the enemy's worst nightmare. The evacuation began immediately. Human and Valorian soldiers worked together to move civilians into the underground cave systems that covered Arcturus Prime. The humans had found these caves using ground-penetrating sensors that the Valorians hadn't even known existed. How did you map these tunnels so quickly? Hae-won asked So Young, who was directing the evacuation. We didn't map them, she replied, checking her handheld device. We just asked the planet. Asked the planet? Geological surveys, underground water systems, mining records, planets tell you everything you need to know if you listen right. Within 3 days, the surface cities were empty. The hegemony began their orbital bombardment, turning buildings into rubble and forests into ash. But there was no one there to kill. Where are they? Kyung-min heard a hegemony commander ask, over intercepted communications. Our sensors show no life signs in the target areas. Keep bombing, came the reply. They must be hiding somewhere. Meanwhile, underground, the humans were busy. Kyung-min watched Woo-jin and a team of engineers installing strange devices throughout the tunnel systems. What are those? He asked. Communication networks, Woo-jin explained. Fiber optic cables, radio repeaters, emergency broadcast systems. We're turning the whole underground into one big coordination center. For what? You'll see. After a week of bombardment, hegemony ground forces began landing. Thousands of enemy soldiers in heavy armor expecting to find a devastated and demoralized population. Instead, they found empty cities and silent streets. That's when the real fight began. The first hegemony patrol to enter the capital city disappeared without a trace. Then another. Then an entire company of 50 soldiers vanished near the spaceport. "Where are they going?" Kyung-min asked, watching the tactical displays from the underground command center. "Everywhere and nowhere," Hyun-woo replied with satisfaction. "Welcome to urban guerrilla warfare." The humans had turned every building into a potential ambush site. Snipers like Dong-hyun appeared in windows, took their shots, and disappeared before return fire could reach them. So-Young's engineering teams had rigged hundreds of improvised explosive devices throughout the city, triggered by motion sensors and remote controls. But it wasn't just the humans fighting. Valorian soldiers had learned to adapt their tactics. Taesung led a mixed unit that used both human stealth techniques and Valorian courage. They would strike quickly and then vanish into the tunnel systems. "This isn't honorable combat," complained one of the older Valorian officers. "No," Kyung-min replied, watching his forces inflict heavy casualties on the enemy while taking almost none themselves. "It's effective combat." The space battle was equally strange. Commander Yoon Seo's fleet avoided direct confrontation with the larger hegemony ships. Instead, human vessels darted in and out like insects, striking at weak points and then disappearing, before the enemy could respond. "How are they doing that?" asked the hegemony admiral over another intercepted communication. "Their ships are too small and fast," came the reply. "Our big guns can't track them." "Then use the fighters. We've lost 60 fighters already. They're using some kind of coordinated swarm tactics." Kyung-min watched the battle displays in amazement. Human ships moved together like a school of fish, changing direction instantly without apparent communication. When the enemy attacked one ship, 5 others would appear from different angles. "How do you coordinate without radio calls?" he asked Yoon Seo. "Predictive algorithms and shared tactical awareness," she explained. "Each pilot knows what the others will do, because we all train together. We think like one mind in many bodies." After Sabulai, 2 weeks, the hegemony controlled most of the planet's surface, but they couldn't establish security anywhere. Their patrols were constantly attacked. Their supply lines were disrupted by explosions and ambushes. Their communications were jammed by human electronic warfare teams. "They're everywhere," complained a hegemony officer. "Every civilian could be a fighter. Every building could be a trap." "Then kill all the civilians," ordered their commander. "We can't find them. They've disappeared into the underground." Dr. Jae-min showed Kyung-min the psychological reports on captured hegemony soldiers. "They are losing morale rapidly. They came here expecting a traditional battle against a demoralized enemy. Instead, they face an invisible opponent that strikes without warning." "Is that why the humans fight this way?" Kyung-min asked. "To break enemy morale?" "Partly," Jin-woo said. "But mainly because it works. Fear is a weapon, too." On day 20, coalition reinforcements arrived early. The human intelligence networks had provided them with detailed information about hegemony fleet positions and weaknesses. "How did they get here so fast?" Haewon asked. "Hyperspace navigation is easier when you know exactly where the enemy ships are," Yoon Seo explained. "Our scouts have been sending location data for weeks." The final space battle was overwhelming. The hegemony fleet was trapped between the planet's defensive systems and the arriving coalition forces. Their ships were designed for formal battle line combat, not for fighting swarms of small, fast vessels attacking from all directions. "We surrender," came the transmission from the hegemony flagship. In the aftermath, Kyung-min walked through the capital city with Jin-woo and Hyun-woo. The buildings were damaged but still standing. Most importantly, Civilian casualties were minimal because the population had been safely underground during the fighting. "You saved this planet," he told the humans. "We all saved it," Jinwoo replied. "Your soldiers learned our methods quickly. Tae-sung's unit performed as well as any human special forces team. But we abandoned our traditional ways," Kyung-min said. "We hid instead of fighting openly. We used tricks instead of courage." "You adapted," Hyunwoo corrected. "That's the most important military skill there is. The enemy expects you to fight one way, so you fight another way. They prepare for what you did before, so you do something new." Kyung-min realized that the humans hadn't just brought new tactics to the war. They had brought a new way of thinking about war itself. Victory wasn't about proving your courage or maintaining your honor. Victory was about protecting the things you cared about and going home to the people you loved. "What happens next?" he asked. "Next," Jinwoo said with a tired smile, "we teach the rest of the coalition how to fight like this. And then we end this war. For the first time since the fighting began, Kyung-min truly believed they could win. 6 months after Arcturus Prime, everything had changed. Kyung-min stood in the command center of the coalition's newest flagship, watching battle reports from 12 different star systems. The war was no longer a series of desperate last stands. It had become a campaign of liberation. "Kepler sector secured," reported Haewon. "Minimal casualties. Vega system cleared," added Tae-sung, who now commanded his own mixed human Valorian unit. "Enemy forces retreated without major engagement." Kyung-min nodded with satisfaction. His strike force had become the coalition's most effective unit, combining human tactical innovation with Valorian courage and determination. Other alien species were sending officers to train with them, eager to learn what they called the human way of war. "Commander," called Admiral Soo-jin from the communication console. The human naval strategist had revolutionized coalition fleet tactics, turning their smaller ships into deadly swarms that could outmaneuver any hegemony battle group. "We have a problem." "What kind of problem?" "The hegemony has adapted. They're using our own tactics against us now." Dr. Yoon-ji, the human xenopsychologist, approached with a data tablet. "I've been studying captured hegemony training materials. They've completely reorganized their military doctrine. They're teaching stealth tactics, guerrilla warfare, and psychological operations." Kyung-min felt a chill. "They're learning faster than we expected," confirmed Colonel Min-ho, a Valorian officer who had fully embraced human methods. "The latest reports show them using small unit tactics and improvised weapons. They're even treating their wounded better, probably because they saw how effective it was when Mi Young did it." Captain Sung-ho, leader of the coalition's Special Operations Forces, materialized beside them as if from thin air. The humans' ability to move unseen still amazed Kyung-min. "It's worse than that. They've started recruiting from conquered populations, offering freedom in exchange for military service. They're building human units to fight against us." "Humans fighting for the hegemony?" Haewon asked in shock. "Fear and desperation make people do terrible things," Sung-ho replied sadly. "But it means they're getting desperate too. This is their attempt to turn our greatest advantage against us." Kyung-min studied the tactical displays. Red markers showed hegemony positions across dozens of star systems. But these weren't the static fortress positions of before. The enemy was moving constantly, striking at weak points and disappearing before coalition forces could respond. "How do we fight an enemy that uses our own tactics?" he asked. "We do what humans have always done," Jinwoo said. entering the command center with his usual quiet confidence. "We adapt faster than they can. Explain." Dr. Yoon-ji activated a holographic display showing brain scan patterns. "We've been studying the neurological differences between humans and other species. Humans have an unusual capacity for rapid adaptation under stress. Your brains literally rewire themselves during combat situations." "What does that mean?" Tae-sung asked. "It means we get better at fighting while we're fighting," explained So Young, who had become the coalition's chief military engineer. "Other species learn tactical skills through training and repetition. Humans learn by doing in real time during actual combat. We've been documenting this phenomenon for months," Dr. Yoon-ji continued. "Human units show measurable improvement in coordination and effectiveness after just a few engagements. It's like your brains are designed for war." Kyungmin remembered watching human soldiers during their first battles. They had seemed chaotic and undisciplined. But as the fighting continued, they had become more coordinated, more deadly, more unified. It wasn't just training, it was evolution happening in real time. "So what's our advantage?" he asked. "Bonds," said Mi Young, joining the group. The human medic had become something more than a soldier to the mixed units. She was like a sister to both human and alien troops. "Humans don't just adapt to combat. We adapt to each other." "I don't understand." Seung-ho gestured to the mixed human-Valorian units visible throughout the command center. "Look around. How many of your soldiers would die for a human teammate now?" Kyung-min looked. Valorian and human soldiers worked together with perfect coordination. They shared food, jokes, and stories. They helped each other with equipment and covered each other's weaknesses. Tae-sung was teaching human soldiers traditional Valorian sword techniques, while Dong-hyun showed Valorians advanced sniper skills. All of them, he realized. "That's what the hegemony can't copy," Jinwoo said. "They can learn our tactics and our techniques, but they can't learn our relationships. They're still an empire built on fear and control. Their soldiers fight because they have to. Ours fight because they want to protect each other." The proof came during the battle for the Centauri system. The hegemony had set a trap using human tactics to lure coalition forces into an ambush. But when the fighting started, something unexpected happened. Kyung-min watched from the command center as his mixed units encountered hegemony forces using guerrilla tactics. The enemy had hidden in civilian areas, just like the coalition had done at Arcturus Prime. They used improvised weapons and hit-and-run attacks. "They're good," Haewon admitted. "Almost as good as we are." But then the differences became clear. When a hegemony unit took casualties, the other soldiers retreated to save themselves. When coalition units took casualties, both humans and aliens risked everything to save their wounded teammates. "Watch this," Dr. Yoon-ji said, highlighting a tactical display. A mixed human-Valorian squad was pinned down by enemy fire. Instead of retreating, they adapted their formation in real time. The Valorians provided covering fire while the humans flanked the enemy position. But it wasn't just tactical coordination, it was emotional coordination. "The human soldiers are protecting the Valorians because they care about them personally," she explained. "And the Valorians are willing to expose themselves to danger because they trust the humans completely. That level of mutual trust can't be faked or forced." The battle turned when a hegemony commander tried to use captured coalition soldiers as human shields. The tactic failed because coalition forces immediately began working to rescue the prisoners instead of attacking the enemy positions. "That's what we fight for," Mi Young said quietly. watching human and Valorian soldiers risk their lives to save captured teammates. Not for victory or honor or territory, we fight for each other. After the battle, Kyung-min walked through the field hospital where Mi-young was treating wounded soldiers from both sides. Human medics worked alongside Valorian healers, caring for enemy soldiers with the same dedication they showed their own forces. "Why do you treat them?" he asked, watching her bandage a young hegemony soldier's arm. "Because they're people," she replied simply. "This one is 19 years old. His name is Carvin. He was conscripted from a farming world 2 years ago. He doesn't want to be here any more than we do." The wounded enemy soldier looked up at Kyung-min with confused gratitude. "Why are you helping me?" "Because that's what we do," Kyung-min found himself saying. "We protect people. All people." Later that night, Kyung-min sat with his senior officers in the ship's recreation area. Human and Valorian soldiers were playing games together, sharing stories, and laughing at each other's jokes. Tae-sung was trying to teach Woo-jin a traditional Valorian card game, while So-young explained human engineering concepts to fascinated alien technicians. "This is our secret weapon," Jin-woo said, sitting down beside him. "Not our tactics or our technology. This." He gestured at the mixed groups of soldiers who had become genuine friends. "The hegemony can copy our battle plans," added Shung-ho. "They can study our techniques and learn our strategies, but they can't copy what makes us willing to die for each other." "And what's that?" Kyung-min asked. "The belief that everyone deserves freedom," Dong-hyun said from a nearby table where he was cleaning his rifle. "Not just our people. Everyone, even our enemies, once they stop being enemies." Kyung-min realized that the humans had taught the coalition more than just how to fight effectively. They had taught them what was worth fighting for. Not just survival or victory, but the idea that all people should be free to choose their own path. "So what happens when we reach the hegemony core worlds?" he asked. "We give them the same choice. We've given everyone else," Jin-woo replied. "Join us and be free, or keep fighting and lose everything they care about." "And if they choose to keep fighting?" "Then we show them that humans don't just fight for each other," Mi-young said with quiet determination. "We fight for the idea that no one should have to live in fear." For the first time, Kyung-min understood that this war wasn't just about defeating the hegemony. It was about proving that a different kind of civilization was possible. One built on cooperation instead of domination, on friendship instead of fear. The hegemony home system was a fortress unlike anything Kyung-min had ever seen. 3 heavily fortified worlds surrounded by defense stations, minefields, and the largest fleet in known space. For 50 years, this system had been the center of an empire that controlled half the galaxy. 2,000 enemy ships, reported Fleet Admiral Young-soo, the Valorian commander who now led integrated forces using both traditional courage and human innovation. "They have everything concentrated here." "Good," said President Jun-ho over the communication link from Earth. The human civilian leader had made the difficult decision to commit every available ship to this final battle. "That means when we win here, the war is over." Kyung-min studied the tactical displays from the command center of the coalition flagship. After 2 years of fighting alongside humans, he had learned to think differently about impossible odds. Where once he would have seen only certain death, now he saw opportunities. "Commander In-suk," he called to the human intelligence officer. "What do we know about enemy morale?" "Breaking down rapidly," she replied, highlighting sections of the enemy fleet. "Half their ships are crewed by conscripts from conquered worlds. The other half are old Empire loyalists who haven't won a major battle in 18 months. And our forces. Ready for anything, said General Wu Sung, who had once been the coalition's biggest skeptic of human methods. Humans, Valorians, Kaldari, Nexus Republic, even some reformed hegemony units. They all fight like family now. That was the truth that still amazed Kyung Min. The coalition wasn't just an alliance anymore. It had become something new. A genuine community of different species who had learned to trust and care for each other. Humans had taught them that strength came not from domination, but from cooperation. Final positions, ordered Admiral Su Jin from the Fleet Command Center. Remember, we're not here to destroy them. We're here to free them. The battle began, at dawn, coalition time. But it wasn't the massive frontal assault that everyone expected. Instead, human-trained units struck at communication relays, supply depots, and command centers throughout the system. The hegemony fleet found itself blind and confused before the main battle even started. "Where are they?" demanded the enemy. Admiral over-intercepted communications. "Our sensors show coalition ships everywhere, but they keep disappearing." "It's those human tactics," came the reply. "Small units, constant movement, coordinated strikes. We can't track them all." But this time, the humans weren't alone. Valorian warriors provided the courage for desperate assaults, while alien engineers adapted human techniques to their own species' strengths. The Kaldari had learned stealth technology, the Nexus Republic had mastered electronic warfare, and even reformed hegemony units fought with the determination of people who had found something worth protecting. "Watch the left flank," called Tae Sung from his command ship. He now led a full battle group of mixed species, all fighting with the fluid coordination that humans had pioneered. "Enemy reinforcements coming in." "We see them," replied Dong Hyun, whose sniper teams had evolved into precision strike specialists. "Wu Jin's engineering teams have a surprise ready." The surprise was typical human innovation. Instead of meeting the enemy reinforcements with force, they had turned the system's own asteroid field into a weapon. Precisely placed explosives sent chunks of rock tumbling into the path of the incoming ships, forcing them to break formation and scatter. "How do they think of these things?" wondered a Kaldari officer. "They see everything as a tool," explained Dr. Yoon-ji, whose studies of human psychology had helped other species understand their new allies. "Where we see asteroids, they see ammunition. Where we see problems, they see opportunities." The space battle raged for 6 hours, but it was unlike any previous engagement. Instead of trying to destroy the enemy fleet, coalition forces targeted critical systems to disable ships rather than destroy them. Every hegemony vessel that surrendered was immediately boarded by mixed teams that included human medics and Valorian. "Honor guards." "We're not conquering them," Mi-young explained to captured enemy officers as she treated their wounded. "We're liberating them. Your choice is simple. Keep fighting for an empire that treats you as expendable, or join a community that values your life." The psychological effect was devastating to hegemony morale. Soldiers who had expected to die in glorious battle instead found themselves receiving medical care from the people they had been trying to kill. Officers who had been taught that aliens were inferior found themselves treated with respect and dignity by diverse crews working together seamlessly. "This is Commander Malketh of the hegemony battlecruiser Domination," came a transmission on the emergency frequency. We want to surrender, but we need guarantees for our crew's safety." "Guarantees granted," Kyung-min replied immediately. "Send your wounded to Medical Bay 7. Your crew will be fed and housed according to coalition standards. Any who wish to join us are welcome. Any who wish to return home may do so after the war. You would trust us to go home? The enemy commander asked in disbelief. We're fighting to free people, not to create more prisoners, Kyung-min said. When this war ends, we want former enemies to become friends, not slaves. By the end of the first day, a quarter of the hegemony fleet had surrendered. By the end of the second day, half the remaining ships were trying to negotiate terms. The final assault on the hegemony capital world began on the third day, but it was more of a rescue operation than a battle. The population is rising up against their own government, reported Commander In-suk. They've been watching our broadcasts for months. They want to join the coalition voluntarily. Kyung-min landed with the first wave of ground forces, leading a mixed unit of humans and Valorians into the capital city. They expected fierce resistance but found celebrations instead. Citizens lined the streets cheering and throwing flowers at the coalition soldiers. Why are they happy to see us? Asked a young Valorian soldier. Because we're not here to conquer them, explained Shung-ho, whose special forces had been coordinating with local resistance groups for weeks. We're here to free them from their own government. The final confrontation came in the Imperial Palace, where the hegemony high command had barricaded themselves for a last stand. But even that ended unexpectedly when the palace guards opened the gates and surrendered their own leaders. We've been waiting 50 years for someone to free us from them, explained the guard captain to Jin-woo. Your coalition offers something the Empire never did, a choice. The war officially ended when the Hegemony High Council signed the Articles of Freedom, documents written by humans but signed by representatives of all coalition species. The terms were surprisingly generous. No reparations, no territorial annexations, no punishment for ordinary soldiers who had simply been following orders. Why are you being so kind to us? Asked the former Hegemony Chancellor during the signing ceremony. We enslaved entire worlds. We committed countless atrocities. Because punishment creates resentment and resentment creates future wars, President Jun-ho replied. We want peace, not revenge. And because everyone deserves a second chance, added Mi Young, who had been treating former enemy leaders with the same care she showed everyone else. 6 months later, Kyung-min stood once again at the windows of a space station, but this time he was watching ships from dozens of species working together to rebuild what the war had destroyed. Former hegemony worlds were joining the coalition voluntarily, drawn by the promise of freedom and the reality of genuine cooperation between different peoples. Any regrets? Asked Jin-woo, joining him at the window. About what? Learning to fight like humans, abandoning the old ways of honor and formal combat. Kyung-min thought about that. In the old days, Valorian warriors had fought for personal glory and the honor of their people. Now they fought for something bigger, the idea that all people deserve to be free. No regrets, he said finally. You taught us that real honor comes from protecting others, not from dying gloriously. Real courage means adapting to save lives, not stubbornly following traditions that get people killed. And what did you learn about how humans fight? Kyung-min smiled. I learned that humans don't fight because they're good at it. You fight because you believe everyone deserves to choose their own path. That's what makes you unbeatable, not your tactics or your weapons, but your refusal to give up on the idea that things can be better. So what happens now? Jin-woo asked. Now we build something new, Kyung-min replied, watching human and alien children playing together on the station's observation deck. A galaxy where no one has to fight unless they choose to, where different species work together instead of trying to dominate each other. Think it will work? Kyung-min watched So Young explaining engineering concepts to fascinated alien students, while Tae-sung taught human children traditional Valorian stories. He saw Mi-young training mixed medical teams and Dong-hyun working with security forces from a dozen different worlds. "It's working already," he said. "You humans taught us that the best victory isn't defeating your enemies. It's turning them into friends." As the station rotated slowly through space, Kyung-min reflected on how much had changed. 2 years ago, he had thought he understood warfare, formations, tactics, honor, and glory.